that keeps chocolate candies around as decorations in pretty clear things around our house. And Mark is the one who eats them, and I don't touch any of them.
Yeah.
And it's terrible, and I feel bad about
Have you ever been to someone's house? Remember, like, the old lady ribbon candies?
Yes.
Yes.
That's my life.
But they don't have those. They have glass versions of those. So you can't eat them.
I've
They're
seen
like fake candy. They're glass. I'm like,
glass
well, who
sweets.
is this for? This is going to
They're
kill
for me.
someone.
They're for people. I should just get glass sweets, Mark. That would make everything better.
I'd eat them.
But you wouldn't gain any weight.
Yeah, you're right.
So it would be fine.
I'd be at the hospital.
You'd just be dead. Like,
The internal bleeding would be spectacular with those things.
I mean, your teeth aren't that hard. They'd break before you got into your stomach.
Oh, that sounds worse. Okay, so are we in agreement that it is the Mars bar? Because you open it up, you have half of it out. You could, if you're going fast, you could knock this thing out in 3 bites.
Yeah.
So it's
Mark,
easy to hold.
I'm so behind this. I'm willing to say that if he would have chosen a Mars bar instead of a Crunch, that John McClane wouldn't have won.
Yeah.
That was his was his fail.
He starts off with a Crunch bar, but then he moves on to a Mars bar later on.
He doesn't stop. He just keeps.
Yeah. He makes
bottomless pit.
He makes the classic mistake of too much chocolate. Who knows how much he ate when he was there? And when you haven't eaten in a while.
Did he make a Mars steak?
Yes, he did. He made I was going to say he crunched it, but that makes no sense whatsoever. So he chocolate loaded.
He did. When I was in grade 9, I was on the wrestling team. And when we'd be going to a tournament, like the week before, you'd be like making weight and eating like super lean to make weight. And then you'd wrestle, you'd make weight and you'd wrestle. And then when you were done, so I remember I got eliminated at like the 3rd round of this tournament. I was like so relieved that I could go with candy again. Went right to the vending machine and got like 3 Wonder Bars, and then it was like,
what's a
game
Wonder
on.
Bar?
I've never heard of a Wonder Bar. Sounds like Wunderbar.
Regale us of the tales of Canadian candy.
After a wrestling match, is the points the same?
You guys have Wonder Bars, but I think they're called Star Bars.
I've never heard of that
What is
either.
Wonder Bar?
Wonder Bar. It's amazing, is what it is.
I've never heard of a Wonder Bar.
Megan would have so many of them in glass bowls all over her house.
Oh, yeah.
I've chewed on 3 of the glass ones already. Meg, what's a Wonder Bar?
I have no idea.
Is that a whatchamacallit?
Hold on, I'm Wikipediaing it here.
It literally says Wonder Bar, Chocolate Bar, Canadian Candy Bar.
Oh, let me see it. Yeah. Oh, wait, that's a Butterfinger wrapper.
Yeah, it looks like a Butterfinger.
No,
that's Cadbury.
No,
You have a Cadbury Wonder Bar?
Well, Cadbury is just a chocolate brand.
But go to Wikipedia and look up Star Bar.
Jesus, we're getting deep into this.
Oh my gosh, you started it, Mark.
Wonder Bar.
Star Bar. Oh.
Oh, yeah, we've never seen any of those. Now, you need to send me...
Peanut butter filling. Add a layer of caramel.
I don't know if you can do this in the next 2 days, because I think I could write a post, Adam. But if you could get me an infographic of all these candy bars, and then I could rank them, I would do it. Or I could send you pictures of them.
So I put together a little package here for you, Mark, that I'm going to be sending to you. A little care package, a little holiday care package. But I wanted to talk to you first. You won't get it for Christmas. This is going to kind of ruin it, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't sending you something you already had. Have you ever heard of or seen the TV show Corner Gas?
No. Mm-mm.
So The Office is to the UK as Corner Gas is to Canada.
Whoa.
So I'm going to send you season 1 of Corner Gas.
And we do love the British Office.
Yes.
Right. And I'll send you guys some Wonder Bars as well.
I can't wait.
You are intrigued.
I've been missing out. I go to the...
You also don't have Coffee Crisp there, do you?
No.
So Coffee Crisp is like a coffee-flavored chocolate bar.
So we're gonna
like we need a road trip to Canada to check out their candy scene.
Yeah, that's right. Get out there and just go candy shopping.
Get some Tim Hortons.
Imagine we just this spawned the Candy Cast, where it's like a podcast that's about candy, but like from my Canadian point of view versus your American point of view.
Yeah, we send you American candy, and we'd have to film it though, because podcast just smacking over the podcast wouldn't be the best.
Oh, what were those good ones we got that were from Iowa? Remember they had. No, they were really good.
Yeah, we found some great... All right, so back to Die Hard. Let's, we're really going away here. So released in 1988, one of the most commercially successful action films of all time. This is, John McTiernan directed it. He directed Predator, 13th Warrior, which we also covered on the podcast. Go listen to it. written by, like, the book was based by Roderick Thorpe. He wrote a book called Nothing Lasts Forever. Sinatra starred in one of his movies in 1968 called The Detective. They were planning a sequel. They actually offered Die Hard to Sinatra first, but he was in his 70s and he said no. Jeb Stewart, the guy who wrote Leviathan and Fugitive, knocked the first draft of the script out. But he came up with the idea when he had a fight with his wife and he went out driving, and then he almost thought he hit a refrigerator box and he thought a refrigerator was in it and he thought he was about to die. So when he just learned it was a box, he's like, I gotta apologize to my wife. So then that's how Die Hard plot came about. But then as they got shooting, they brought in Steven D'Souza of The Running Man, Die Hard 2, 48 Hours. He directed Street Fighter, listen to that episode, to punch up the script to make it funnier. Right. They had Jan de Bont, the director of photography, who also directed Twister and Speed later on. Huge movies. The production designer, Jackson Govea, he actually did Red Dawn, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. And then you have Charlie Picerni, the guy who did the stunts on True Romance, Roadhouse, Lethal Weapon, Enter the Dragon, Christmas Vacation. I mean, just that. And then you have a who's who of character actors in this film.
Mark, can you do that? Can you do the rundown of the stunts again?
Yeah.
Movies
So Roadhouse, Lethal Weapon, Enter the Dragon, Christmas Vacation, Ghost, True Romance.
So one of these things is not like the other one.
Wait, Mark. No, Ghost?
Yeah, he did Ghost. So yeah, I mean, this guy is, I mean, he's still working. He's on the Fast and Furious movies driving. He's one of the stunt drivers. So we're watching this movie, and I'm taking my notes, and I'm just regaling Megan with just how tight this script is, because in the first, like, I did a timeline. At 1 minute 20, he learns about making a fist with his toes, which ends up with him bare feet later.
Which is the first thing I do every time I go to a new hotel room.
Dude, I need to do it. It's a great idea. And then at 1:40, we learn he's a cop because he looks at the gun. 1:55, we hear Merry Christmas. 2:10, we see him smoking. At 3:20 in the movie, we learn it's Christmas Eve. At 5:15, Bonnie Bedelia, his wife, puts Harley McLean, puts the photo down. At 6 o'clock, we learn about, like, oh, you're in California. 12:27, we learn that several floors are under construction. 13:50, we learn about the watch. And at 14:10, he starts rinsing up. So by the 25-minute mark, we have, like, we learn that they're in California. We learn everything's set up. We learn that Argyle is in the basement waiting for him. We also, you see the flirtatious couple that go into the room, which later on distracts the guy so that McLean can escape.
Flirtatious is a really nice way to put it.
Yeah, the gratuitous 80s nudity. How's that sound? And
there was like, I feel like in 88, Christmas parties were different than Christmas parties would be.
Yes, especially in LA with, like, it was snowing, not with snow.
Snowing in LA.
But, that scene, it's weird because you have the gratuitous nudity, but then later, that gratuitous nudity is set up earlier in a scene. And then the reason, I mean, it's absolutely gratuitous. They could have written something else in the script, but it's the reason why McLean is able to sneak away into the stairwell. So even the gratuitous nudity in this movie is set up and leads to him escaping.
So now it's purposeful nudity.
Yes. Gratuitous.
Well, I think that, like...
Does that make sense, right? Like,
yeah, it's... like in 88, they're like, you have to have this in your movie.
No, they really did. They said that was... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, but this guy was like, okay, let's just make it make sense. As opposed to in the movies like Commando, where he's just bursting through walls and like, well, there it is. And then he bursts through another wall and goes, like, it's, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently Joel Silver's 3 rules of making a movie, the number one thing is hot babes. So that's why they have that there.
And the California lady that we learned that they're in California when he says it. And he also, the number one thing Joel Silver wanted in this movie was an explosion on the roof.
Which I'm so glad we don't live in the 80s anymore.
He's like, I need an explosion on the roof. And that's why they got the explosion on the roof in this movie, because of producer Joel Silver.
I was at a toy show recently.
Hey, promote your show.
Oh, yes. So soon we're going to be releasing our YouTube show, Go Figure, where we, me and my buddy Steve, we feed up old vintage toys and then restore them. It's as dorky as it sounds, but it's a lot of fun. And we found some gold. But I was at this toy show, and there was these guys. They were probably 55, 60 years old. And it was a little bit sad, but they were like, wouldn't it be great if we could just, like, exist in 1986 perpetually? And I was like, no, not it. Like, I'm at a vintage toy show, and there's some cool stuff there, but, like, not at all do I want to be perpetually in 1986. Like, that's ridiculous.
Wow. Jeez Louise. I don't know what to say to that.
Nah.
Yeah.
Hard pass.
I think I just want to keep getting old. I don't want to stay in perpetual anything.
Well, I felt like saying to them, like, all the stuff you loved in '86 still exists. Like, you could still have it. You could just have other stuff as well.
Whoa, interesting.
Right? Because they're like, that's when, like, Ghostbusters was out. And I was like, yeah, and you can still watch Ghostbusters. No one's taking that from you, sir.
They just want to do a Groundhog Day time loop where they live through 86 and go back.
Right.
Whoa.
Well, maybe it could be like Palm Springs and they live in that loop forever.
Yeah. I would do a 99 loop just for the movies.
That sounds like an episode of Black Mirror coming up.
I mean, kind of.
But so what do you guys think about this in the first 25 minutes, right? Because Die Hard is considered, okay, if you're making a list and you're doing the 5 greatest action films of all time, and you're not doing you're thinking of the 5 greatest, 10 greatest. If you left Die Hard out, you are being provocative.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, it appeals to all different groups of people. I read an interview with 3 different key people on the film, /film for their 30th anniversary, and he asked every single person, why is it so enduring? And they all had different answers, but a lot of it was the pace, the urgency, the fact that it appeals to so many genres and groups of people.
I think, too, this was the first action movie that wasn't like a muscle-bound lead.
Yeah.
So did you, I don't know if I watched the documentary Movies That Made Us on Netflix. And they were talking.
No, I haven't watched that yet.
Oh, it's so good. But when Bruce Willis,
it's the Movies That Made Us?
Yeah, it's so good. They brought in Bruce Willis. No one wanted to do this. Eastwood turned it down. Every action star turned this down because they didn't want to be the wimpy guy running away from terrorists. So they gave it to Bruce Willis, but his agent got him paid $5 million, which made him the highest paid actor of all time, a TV actor from Moonstruck, to be in this. So they brought him in, they shot the movie, and during the test, they were showing previews, and audiences were booing and laughing. And this is based on your burly guy action movie. They were laughing about Bruce Willis doing this. So Fox freaked out. They pulled his face from all the posters, and they released posters just showing the Nakatomi building. But then when the movie became a hit, they put his face back on the posters. But people were laughing. Oh, are you kidding me? Like, this guy can't spin kick like Chuck Norris. This guy can't do splits like Van Damme. This guy can't, I don't know, pop people's heads off like Tic Tacs like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So
I think he changed the whole game. Like, I'm saying, if this movie doesn't happen, Keanu doesn't get Speed.
No. Mm-hmm. You are 100% right. And then it's kind of interesting where, do you think this is this opened the door, right? Die Hard opened the door. And then, I mean, Point Break was good because you had Keanu and Patrick Swayze as the atypical action stars. But I think you're right. I think it was Speed that kicked the door wide open, because then we had, Christian Slater and all these action stars popping up all over the place. And that was kind of the end of the burly guys. But yeah, this opened the door for Speed.
Yeah, and so actor Reginald VelJohnson, who played Sergeant Al Powell in the movie, he said that what was so special about it, he decided later on, was that Bruce Willis played this character that was standing up for himself. He was just a regular guy standing up for himself against these odds, and that wasn't something you'd seen before.
Yeah.
No. It was a big flip from what you're used to. Like again, it's usually, like you said, Megan, it's not someone who's standing up for himself. He's usually someone, I'm going to go in it. Like, you look at Commando, because this was supposed to be a sequel for Commando, right? This is supposed to be Commando 2 at some point in time. Am I wrong on that?
It was supposed to be a sequel to The Detective with Sinatra. It was just in development hell for a long time.
But as opposed to, like, I'm going to go and take on an island of of soldiers, this guy who's just like, out of necessity, I need to save this building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting is he makes mistakes. I read an article about how Hans Gruber is the greatest villain of all time, movie villain, and I just sat there nodding, because Alan Rickman in this movie, I think one scene I love the most, right, is when he finally meets John, and then he becomes Bill Clay?
Yeah.
In the whole
Robert Clay, isn't it?
Yeah, something Clay. Yeah, Robert Clay, one of those. And they meet each other, and I love how during that scene, Like it's like a game of chess between them.
Yeah.
And I don't know.